Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for the news at 10 here on CW20. I'm Brent Harden. Windier and warmer weather is on the way tonight. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank for a first look at the forecast. Rach?
Overall, a nice weekend for outdoor plans and activities, but of course we know that we need rain once you add some context to the mix. So again, you'll find a red flag warning that is in effect due to the combination of very low relative humidity, so very dry air as we head through the day tomorrow, but also gusty winds. And I think those winds will be even more noticeable than they were outside today, gusting out of the north up to 25 and even 30 miles an hour as we head through the afternoon. And that can help any brush fires that spread even more quickly. So no open burning tomorrow. So close yet so far to a storm spinning nearby. But this storm, while it will edge closer to us, stops in northeastern Maine and doesn't get any closer. So that means it remains bone dry. Low temperatures tonight, not as cold as they have been the last couple nights and following mornings, dipping back into the 30s for most cities and towns across the state. And that's where we begin tomorrow morning with clear skies. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. By noon, temperatures are in the mid 50s, and we're looking at high temperatures climbing into the low 60s as we head through the afternoon. I think it's even warmer on Sunday, but we also keep the breeze around. Winds again out of the northwest, 10 to 20 with those higher gusts close to 30 miles an hour. We'll talk about the chance for a few sprinkles as we head back to work next week, and maybe more substantial showers later next week when we check in on your full forecast in just a few minutes. Brent.
Rachel, thank you. Those dry conditions posed a real risk to firefighters in North Haven tonight. Our team arrived at the scene just as crews started to mop up. Fox 61's Kay Pattyfoot has the latest from North Haven.
The brush fire in North Haven isn't the first this season, but with these dry conditions, who knows when they'll end? The brush fire was reported around 5 Friday night. At this point, there have been 10 brush fires just this week. The entire state of Connecticut remains under a stage 2 drought, and a red flag warning is still in place. Fire officials ask everyone to be mindful as the dry conditions pose a real danger for more brush fires. A red flag warning remains in effect until Saturday evening for southern Connecticut. In North Haven, Kay Pattyfoot, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Kay. A homeowner in Trumbull was very surprised to find a police officer at his door this afternoon. We're told that's because he was unaware his house was actually on fire. That cop and a neighbor helped him escape the flames without a problem. Unfortunately, both the outside of his house and a vehicle were damaged by those flames. It took 20 firefighters from 3 local fire departments to put out the blaze. The fire is under investigation tonight. There was a lot of concern today about something found at Cheney Tech in Manchester, a suspicious substance. But as we first told you on the Fox 61 News at 5, that powdery substance discovered in the school was not in fact fentanyl. Troopers say it turned up on the floor of a school bathroom. Students were dismissed early as a precaution. State police initially thought it could be fentanyl, but after some testing, they determined it was not. Well, tonight, more than 100,000 people are able to obtain health care, specifically those known as Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA. This is the first time the DACA generation will be eligible for coverage through the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. The Biden administration ruled in May that they are to be considered, quote, lawfully present. And while that debate rages on the national stage, here in Connecticut, the governor is asking state agencies to cut back, despite a state surplus because of projected overruns, largely due to Medicaid expenditures. Some legislators say the first thing to cut is health insurance to undocumented immigrants. Tonight, Fox 61 asked Democrat State Senator Matthew Lesser and State House Republican leader Vincent Candelora about this issue.
It's not just basic health care, it is the Cadillac of health care. And now we are seeing them proposing to cut government agencies in order to support programs like this. And our point is we have agencies like DCF that is struggling, that is overrun, trying to protect our children, and they're now being asked to freeze hiring and cut their agencies. We don't believe that that is a moral way to go. What we should be doing is freezing this healthcare program that has been way over budget. It's triple the cost of what was originally budgeted, and we think we need to halt it for now so that we can make sure our government agencies can continue to function and do the jobs they're required to do.
State Representative Candelora says the program here in Connecticut is overspending what was budgeted, an additional $20 million over the original $7 million. Here's State Senator Lesser's view.
There have been some cost overruns. The overwhelming majority of that is unrelated to undocumented children. That's not what's driving this. It's being driven by higher utilization by American citizens who are signing up for Medicaid more and using healthcare services more. These guys are trying to make themselves into little mini Trumps here, but they all voted for this policy. Almost all Republicans in the legislature voted to provide Medicaid coverage to undocumented children because our struggling small and rural hospitals are crying out for it. They're being hit by tons of uncompensated care, and this is about their bottom lines. And that's why Republicans voted to do this. And now they're trying to pretend that they had nothing to do with it, that this is some policy that they didn't know about until yesterday or something. And I think they're doing it because they're running scared and they're trying to make themselves into little Trumps.
Lesser said this policy here in Connecticut is to make sure hospitals aren't left holding the tab and passing those costs on to taxpayers. And speaking of costs, electric rates are going up again. Eversource just announced its new standard service residential rate for the months of January through June. So how much is it going up, and can you do anything about it? Well, Fox 61's Matt Caron has those details.
Well, before we get to that, if you were wondering why the rate always seems to go up in the winter months, it's due to more demand for natural gas. And natural gas is, of course, needed to generate about 50% of the state's total electricity. And oh, by the way, Connecticut is at the very end of the nation's natural gas pipeline. Get ready to ring in 2025 with a 7% increase to your electric bill. Standing in front of a sign insisting they don't profit from energy supply, Eversource claims determining the new rate, which is 11.19 cents per kilowatt hour, was a transparent process. But PURA, the state's utility regulator, told Fox 61 Eversource never gave it advanced notice about the new rate, filing it at the exact minute it was announced to the press. Eversource, PURA, and legislators have had a contentious relationship. It all came to a head in May when a dramatic spike in the public benefits portion of your bill resulted in public outcry and a game of finger pointing. In dollars and cents, that 7% increase to your bill starting January means about $15 extra a month, hitting residents right where it hurts.
I'm retired, so fixed income. So when the rates go up, it affects my pocketbook.
Not good. I mean, everything's going up. Groceries are going up, gas is going up, electricity is going up. What's not going up?
Eversource told me they have no plans to raise their delivery charge, and they expect the public benefits charge to level out starting in May. Legislators tell me they'll be taking a hard look this next legislative session on how they can further regulate and hold these utility companies accountable. Reporting in Berlin at the Eversource headquarters, Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Matt. A basketball coach in Hartford is behind bars tonight, starting a sentence of 10 years for sexual assault. Danny Lawhorn Jr. was convicted in September of an attack on an international basketball player at a hotel in Hartford. Lawhorn was also found to be in possession of crack cocaine. Well, police in Bridgeport made history this week with a one-of-a-kind operation. They arrested more than 24 domestic abusers in less than 24 hours. It's all part of an initiative they're calling Operation Assessment Hill. Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc spoke with the lead detective.
In a matter of 6 hours, Bridgeport police led one of the largest domestic violence sweeps in the department's history, all to crack down on a backlog of cases and send a message.
The goal is always to save lives. Our primary concern is always the victim.
Bridgeport police are sending a strong message to domestic abusers in the city.
1, if you have a warrant, turn yourselves in. 2, if you don't, we eventually will be coming for you.
And that's exactly what Sergeant Joaquim DeBarros and his team did earlier this week as he led a massive domestic violence sweep called Operation Assessment Hill 2024. In under 6 hours, officers arrested 23 people and served 25 warrants.
We started around 0400, 4 o'clock in the morning, and the operation ended for us at 9, but we still had people turning themselves in all the way up through 11 o'clock.
The initiative comes after weeks of planning and a nudge from the courts to catch up on a big backlog of domestic violence cases, which, despite having 2 dedicated detectives on those cases, DeBarros says the issue is so prevalent, it's almost impossible to keep up.
No matter, you could work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you'd still be behind.
This sweep was probably one of the most significant things we have seen here in my tenure here as the CEO.
Deborah Greenwood is in charge here at the Center for Family Justice, which helped police put this plan together, something she says is needed now more than ever to validate and support the thousands of people here in Bridgeport that suffer from domestic abuse each year.
This was critical to be able to say, we hear you, we're doing something about it, we're going to make sure that your case goes before the judiciary.
Something she and Sergeant DeBarros hope to do again soon, to let victims know they're here to protect them.
Please call the hotline. Please call Safe Connect. We're here to help you, and so is law enforcement.
Never give up hope. We will work tirelessly to make sure we bring justice to you and your family.
Now, if you or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, there is help everywhere in this state. Call or text the domestic violence hotline at 888-774-2900. Somebody will be there to answer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are in Bridgeport. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.